Hello everyone, I'm Navyansh Kesarwani and I welcome you to this webinar of Cracking into the Tech Industry. So, in this webinar, we are going to have an overview of the questions. These are some of the questions of which we are going to have an overview and we are going to ponder over. So, the first question is, what is tech industry and why you should be a part of this industry? Okay, so we are gonna have an introduction about what is gonna happen in the tech industry, what is tech industry, and why you should be a part of this industry. And the next question is, what are the roles you can choose in the software industry? So for the sake of this webinar, we are gonna refer the tech industry as a software industry, or the industry where software development companies are getting emerged. Okay, and the next question is how you can earn money and gain experience being a part of this industry. So this is one of the most important segments of this webinar. So yes, now we are gonna proceed with our first slide. What is tech industry about and why you should be a part of this? Okay, so technology is getting evolved day by day, with new tech getting invented and existing tech being updated each day. And so we see this change in our daily lives. So if we rewind back to 5 years, 5 years, or at least 15 years in the past, we were not using any kind of handheld devices which we are using today. Okay, so today we are having handheld devices which are also known as mobile phones, which help us to do various things, make calls, send text messages, and all that stuff with ease. And yes, these technologies are getting evolved and updated each day. Tech industry is an industry which is dealing with creating and updating these technologies which we use daily. For this webinar, we would be considering the tech industry as the software industry, which is currently at the peak of its demand. Okay, so yes, software industry is currently at its peak of demand. Nearly every company is looking to have its own piece of software, own piece of website, or own piece of app. This industry has opened doors of various opportunities of earning some handsome amount of money and getting great work exposure, learning new age programming languages and frameworks. Those are driving today's world, solving world problems, and there are a lot of cool more stuff to do. These are just some prominent advantages of getting into the tech industry. So maybe these advantages may have driven you to go into the tech industry. So if you have that person, then the next slide is for you. What are the roles you can get in the software industry? So software industry is pretty much flexible. You can opt for any career option which you want. Okay, so and these career options are available for both. If you are getting started, if you are a student and want to enter the tech industry, okay, if you want to become a software developer or any such related role in the future, then yes, this industry is for you. Or else, if you are working at some other profession, let's suppose you may be a doctor, you may be a lawyer, you may be an engineer at any other field, such as mechanical engineer, automobile engineer. Okay, so this field is pretty much flexible, and you can always switch from those positions to the role of software developer or any other related developer role. Okay, so here are some of the career options which you can choose from. Okay, these are always switchable. It is not like that once you are a backend developer you cannot go to front end or vice versa. Okay, so there are it is pretty much flexible field, and these are some of the most popular and in demand roles in the software industry. So in a from now onwards we are going to have a look at what is basically each industry about, or each developer role about. Let's suppose first of all we are going to have a look at software developer. What do they basically do? What is their average salary at a global level, and some other related stuff as well. So the first role which you can commonly get in the tech industry or the software industry is software developer role. Okay, so as a software developer, you're supposed to write code based solution for some given problem statement in a programming language. Okay, so you can assume it just similar to maths. Okay, you're given some problem and you have to present its solution. Okay, and the only difference being that you need to present your solution in some code format. Okay, um, and you can use some programming language for doing this for this purpose. It can be C, C++, C Sharp, Java, or Python. Okay, there are plenty more programming languages which are which are coming and gonna come in future as well, but for now these are the stable and the most popular technologies or the programming languages which you can use in order to get a role of software developer. So you can use these programming languages in order to write problem solving algorithms. Algorithms is nothing but just a flow of performing things. Let's suppose if you want to make a cup of coffee, then you have to perform some steps such as mix, warm up the you need to brew the coffee, and yeah, basically break down all that into some smaller steps. Okay, so yes, this is all about algorithms. Don't get confused with this terminology, and I hope you are familiar with this now. So these roles can also be conferred by the name of the technology the company or the client wants you to work with, like Python developers. So this is the tip which I have seen. I have not applied it to myself, but yeah, I have seen it on various job search portals or internship search portals, and yeah, many such portals which confirm this role which confer this role as by the name of the technology which they want you to work with. Let's suppose that uh, they they want you to work with Python programming language, so the role can be conferred as the Python developer. They are looking for a Python developer. Okay, so this is just equivalent to same, they need a software developer who is proficient in Python. The average salary of a software developer is around 55k or 55,000 US dollars, which is according to the data collected from Stack Overflow Developer Survey. It is very reputed survey, and the data collected from them is pretty much accurate. And yes, this is the latest data which is collected by me in the year where I'm recording this video. Okay, so this average salary is taken on a global level. Okay, so it is not just the statistics of US or any other particular country, but all over the globe. The next role we have is of front-end developers, and as a front-end developer you are supposed to develop user interfaces or UIs, which refers to its appearance to the user. Okay, so you are just concerned with the appearance of a website to the user. So this is just the front end this is just the role of front end developers. It is pretty much simple, and front end is very integral part of a website, as it is the part which attracts the user. So if you go to some website, let's suppose if you go to google.com, so the appearance, let's suppose that the text box will be placed in the middle, above it would be the logo for the Google, and beside that would be the search icon. So these things are just made and decided by front end developers. Okay, so this is just the role of front end developer. It is very integral part of the website, as it is the part with which the user interacts. It attracts the user. Okay, so in order to get a role as a front-end developer, you are supposed to have knowledge of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These three technologies are mandatory for you to learn in order to get a role as a front-end developer. Okay, and if even better if you are able to learn React.js or AngularJS. Okay, or just Angular. These basically React.js and Angular are nothing but frameworks of JavaScript, or you may say subset of JavaScript. Okay, so if you want, you can code some front end applications using React.js or AngularJS using using the syntax of JavaScript programming language. Okay, so this is not a rocket science, but it is very simple stuff. The tech stack used in software development is very beginner friendly, and you can get started with it very easily. Okay, so these technologies are very easy to learn. You can get started even today. The average salary of a front-end developer is around 50k US dollars or 50,000 US dollars, which is according to data evaluated from Stack Overflow developer survey. The next we have our backend developers. As a backend developer, you are supposed to develop the logics and logics that would handle the process behind the screen. Okay, so in the previous slide we had a look at front-end developers. Now backend developers, as we all know that front-end developers works on things that are visible to the user. Okay, backend developers contradict to their work, and they rather work on things which are not visible to the user, such as secret algorithms. Let's suppose you are searching for something on Google. Okay, then as soon as you click on the search button, you get some results, which is done in the return of the request you provided. Let's suppose you had searched for something which is you can take example of Facebook. Okay, you searched on Google for Facebook, and depending on that search query or that search request, you got some response. Okay, which in our case are the list of websites or URLs which the Google search engine has provided us. Okay, so that is handled by the backend developers. The process after hitting the submit button and getting all those search results is done by backend developers. So yes, you can assume it as a developer who works on process working behind the screen. So I have given very simple example here. Let's suppose if a user registers on a website, then it is the work of the backend of the website to ensure that the user is able to access the main website if the combination of user name and password is correct when the user is trying to log in. Okay, so yes, this is just a simple example which I have given. And yes, now you may be having question that, hey, is backend mandatory? No, it is not at all mandatory. You can just create your simple website using front end. The only difference will be that it will not be very interactable. Okay, it will not be very where user can interact with it. You can one example can be that you can just create a simple blogging website. Okay, where you will just write your blogs and user would be able to just read them. User will not be able to post their own blogs or register or log in on your website. They can just read on your website for free. This role is currently in high demand, making it a very good time to get this role. Okay, so it is currently in very high demand in the industry, so it is very good time for you to get into this. In order to get a role as a backend developer, you need to have knowledge in either Node.js, Express.js frameworks. Okay, these are just two frameworks like React and Angular, and which are frameworks of JavaScript. And the next frameworks you have is Flask or Django. Okay, so these are one of the most popular frameworks being used, and they are in order to write some backend code in Django or Flask, you need to have knowledge of Python programming language. Okay, Django is one of the most popular frameworks. It handles websites and in a very nice way, and you may have seen the website of Instagram. Okay, the backend is handled using Django only. So the next framework we have is Ruby on Rails, which uses Ruby programming language. um, it is very it has very less community as compared to Flask or Django or Node.js or Express.js, because there are not many people who are using Ruby on Rails. Okay, so they have not encountered different errors, and they have not made various projects using Ruby programming language. Nevertheless, it is still very popular programming language you can use in order to create the backend for your website. The next framework we have is Spring Boot. Okay, and it is generally it is not it is always written in Java language. Okay, so if you're familiar with Java, then Spring Boot is the option you should go with in order to create a backend for your website. And the next we have is PHP. Okay, and is PHP is considered as very old framework for backend, but you can still use it as it's very easy to learn. Okay, the learning edge for PHP is very less. Okay, these are all the frameworks and languages which you can use in order to create a backend. Apart from these, you need to have a knowledge about databases such as MongoDB, MySQL, PostgreSQL, and basically these databases help you to store some data at some place. You can assume it as a storeroom where all the data is stored. Okay, the only difference being that the data is completely organized and it is completely easy to filter out. Okay, so these you, so there are two things you need to know. First one is any framework or programming language that in which you would be coding out your backend, and a database where you would be storing your data and fetching data from it using any programming language such as Flask or Django or Node.js, Express.js, and all that stuff basically. So the average salary of a backend developer is around 65k or 65,000 US dollars. Okay, which is again according to data evaluated from Stack Overflow Developer Survey. So yes, and these frameworks which I recommended you are very stable, and these are getting used by various organizations. There are plenty more frameworks coming in the near future, but yes, these are the most stable ones. Okay, the next set of developers we have are known as full stack developers. Now we know what are front end developers and back end developers. If you combine the roles of front end and back end developer, you get a new role of full stack developer. Okay, as a full stack developer, you are supposed to work on both the integral parts of the website, which is front end and back end, which means that as a full stack developer, you are expected to work on user interfaces of the website or the appearance of the website, along with the process that it should be handling behind the screen. Okay, which means that you need to have knowledge of both front end and back end development, and you should also have knowledge of integrating both of them together in order to make a fully functional website. This role requires knowledge of both front end and back end, making it very demanded role in the industry. In order to get this role, you're supposed to have knowledge of tech stacks such as MERN, which stands for MongoDB, Express.js, React.js, and Node.js. Okay, or you can have knowledge about main stack as well. The only difference between MERN and main stack is of the front end framework. In the MERN stack, we have React.js as the front end framework, whereas in the main stack we have Angular as the front end development framework. Rest all the things remain same. You can create your own, you can use any database you want, you can use any backend framework you want, and you can use any front end framework you want. You can even use some, normal HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in order to create a front end for your website, and you can use any backend framework which I have told you in the previous slide. Okay, so if you so in short, if you have knowledge about any front end technology, which can either be HTML, CSS, or JavaScript, or any framework such as React.js or AngularJS or Next.js, there are plenty of frameworks. So, and if you have knowledge about any backend framework such as Python, Flask, Flask, Django, Node.js, Express.js, and all that stuff, then you are a full stack developer. These tech stacks are currently at the peak of their demands, and by these tech stacks I mean MERN and the main stack. Okay, so yes, the average salary of a full stack web developer is around 60k or 60,000 US dollars according to the data evaluated from Stack Overflow Developer Survey. Mobile app developers. Mobile app developers can be classified into Android app developers and iOS developers. So we all use mobile phones in our daily lives, and mobile phones are generally making our life easier, since they have lots of apps which we can use. You want to search for something, you can go to Google app and then search for anything there. You want to order something online, you need to basically shop something online, you can go to Amazon's app. Okay, so these mobile apps are making our lives easier, and what if you can develop your own mobile apps? That would be pretty great, isn't it? So this is just the work of mobile app developers. They develop the apps which you can use for various purposes. Okay, and mobile app developers can be classified into Android app developers, iOS app developers, and hybrid app developers, which is basically categorized on the basis of the scope of the app which they work on. For instance, Android app developers work on apps which are exclusive to Android. iOS developers work on apps which are exclusive to iOS, whereas hybrid app developers or cross-platform app developers work on apps that would work on both Android and iOS, which can be made using React Native framework using JavaScript programming language, or Flutter framework using Dart programming language. Okay, so in order to make app specific for Android, you can use programming languages such as Java or Kotlin. Okay, these two programming languages you can use in order to create an Android app or app exclusive to Android. In order to create an app exclusive to iOS operating system, you can use Swift programming language or Objective-C programming language. And for cross-platform app development, you can either use React Native, which uses JavaScript programming language, or Flutter framework, which uses a new programming language, which is Dart. Okay, so yes, these are the scope which you can use in order to make your mobile app. Depending on the scope of the app which your organization or the client demands, these categories of mobile apps can be opted in. Okay, so let's suppose if the client wants you to make an app specific for Android, go with Java or Kotlin. If your client wants you to make an app with exclusive to iOS, you can go with Swift and Objective-C. And if the client or the organization demands you to make an app that should perfectly work on both, you can work with React Native or Flutter. Okay, so now you may be having a question that, hey, um, why do I need to develop just app for Android or iOS? Not can I not basically make an just Android app with React Native framework, because I would just need to require to learn a new just one technology, and that would be working for both of us, both of which means Android and iOS. Okay, so yes, it you can do that using cross-platform or hybrid app frameworks such as React Native or Flutter. You can create apps specifically for Android and iOS using it. The only difference being that not all the native features are accessible using these frameworks such as React Native or Flutter. Okay, uh, which can be accessed using Java or Kotlin programming languages, or on Android, or Swift or Objective-C on iOS. These can be done using their native programming languages, but not with the cross-platform or hybrid app development frameworks. Okay, hence it is recommended that if you want your app just to work on Java or Kotlin, if you want your app to just work on Android, you can go with Java or Kotlin. Whereas if you want your app to work on iOS only, you can go with Swift or Objective-C. Okay, the average salary of a mobile app developer is around 45k US dollars according to the data evaluated from Stack Overflow Developer Survey. Okay, so this is this is comparatively low as compared to front-end developers and back-end developers and full-stack web developers, but still it is currently at the peak of its demand, because nowadays every business wants us to make mobile apps for them and make their user experience pretty good. Okay, let's suppose you can still order some products from Amazon's website, but you find it more accessible if you order your products from Amazon's mobile app. Okay, so yes, this is just the advantage of having a mobile app. The next we have our blockchain developers. Blockchain developer is one of the most trending topics in the software industry. In this role, we are supposed to develop web apps on the existing blockchains such as Ethereum. Blockchain is a very um, deep diving topic, so I'm not going to deep dive into that for now because it would make the webinar go out of the scope. But for the purpose of education, we can assume blockchain as a technology where all the things we do are decentralized. Okay, which means that all the transactions are getting added into a ledger or a list, but nobody has the power, or it is close to impossible of changing that data. Okay, once the transaction is made, it is made. You cannot either reverse it, or you cannot basically change the data, change the amount of which has been passed on into the transaction. Yes, so it is pretty much secure, and one of the most popular applications of blockchain technology is can be seen in cryptocurrencies. Okay, so um, blockchain developers are the developers which develop web apps work on existing blockchains such as Ethereum's. And by web apps, I simply mean websites made using React.js or Angular, or basically any JavaScript based frameworks. Okay, so blockchain developers, you can assume blockchain developers of a type of full stack web developers who have expertise in both front end and back end. The only difference being that the back end is handled by something known as the smart contract, which is written in Solidity programming language if you are deploying a web app to Ethereum network. Okay, Ethereum, if you don't know, is a very popular blockchain network. You may also have heard or ever owned its cryptocurrency, which has the symbol of ETH. Okay, so yes, it is a blockchain network which allows you to deploy your apps on it. Okay, now you might be having a question that, hey, Bitcoin is a more popular blockchain than Ethereum. Yes, it is. The only drawback of Bitcoin is that it does not allow you to deploy your apps on their network. Okay, but Ethereum allows you to do that. So yes, you can continue with Ethereum as well. Since the apps since the web apps that will be made will be completely decentralized, this gives them a new nomenclature of dApps or dApps, whatever you want to call it, you can call it. But yes, it is the nomenclature that it gets when we are developing a web app that uses Solidity language in its backend. Okay, so smart contracts are just similar to the real world contracts which drive the dApps. Smart contracts basically check if a condition is successful or not. Let's suppose we can take example of something. Let's suppose if I take example of a painting, it is priced at 10 US dollars, and so you can assume that a smart contract is deployed for that. I'm just taking a crude example. So let's suppose if a painting is priced at 10 Ethereum, I'm gonna remove the dollar currency because it is, legal tender based currency. I'm gonna take example of crypto. Let's suppose if a painting is priced at 10 Ethereum, and you are you if you the smart contract will check if the price that you pay is greater than or equal to 10 Ethereum. If that is true, then the smart contract will get executed and will transfer my money to the one who is owning that painting currently and is selling that to me. And as soon as the transaction is done, my 10 Ethereum will be transferred to that person who is selling me the painting, and the painting would be given into me. Okay, so this is managed by a smart contract, and um, it is the thing which communicates with the front end in order to retrieve and set data in the contract. Okay, so this is just similar to full stack web development, the only difference being that the backend is replaced with a smart contract. So smart contracts, as I've already told you, is written in Solidity programming language, while the front end is commonly written in some JavaScript based frameworks such as React.js, Angular, and Next.js. You can still write your front end in HTML, CSS, and JS. The only difference will be that it would be very difficult for you to communicate with the blockchain network if you are on vanilla HTML, CSS, and JS. Okay, JS means JavaScript. Yes, and the average salary of a blockchain developer is around 100k or 100,000 US dollars, which is again according to the data evaluated from Stack Overflow Developer Survey. Now comes the most important topic of this webinar: how to earn money in the software industry. So in this section I would be telling you how you can earn some money from this industry, or at least having knowledge about some today world technologies, and gain some experience from them. Yes, so the first and the most obvious way of earning money and gaining experience is either getting a full-time or a part-time job. Okay, so if you have expertise and you are suitable for getting a role in the role which I have described you earlier, so you can either get a full-time or a part-time job. Okay, so that is one of the most common ways of earning money. The next way is getting an internship. It is the most popular way of earning money among the students who are currently either in school, college, or universities. So internship allows you to work on some small projects where you can earn some money. Okay, so yes, this is just the work of interns who are currently in their internships. uh, inter- if you're an intern, you may or may not be getting paid. Okay, so there are various types of internships. Um, Not various types, there are just two types of internships: the paid internship and the unpaid internship. The paid internship, where you are getting paid for being an intern at an organization, while unpaid interns are those who do not get paid working as an intern for an organization. So these are just two types of internships. When you're a paid intern, you get something known as a stipend each month, or after the internship gets over, depending on the policies of your organization. Okay, so yes, this is one of the most common ways of earning money among the college students, or university students, or school students. The next way, and the way which I have used in order to earn money, is through freelancing. Okay, freelancing is one of the most common ways of earning money apart from internships, full-time or part-time jobs. Where freelancing, if you are not familiar with freelancing, don't worry, I'm gonna tell you everything about it. Freelancing is nothing but pay for the project type of way of earning money. Okay, so let's suppose that client has given you some work of making an e-commerce website like Amazon. Okay, so if now you, being an expert in web development, tells the client that yes, I can do the work for you, and you give some quotation to the client that you need to pay me these much amount of money in order to convince me to make a website. Okay, so if you and the client agree on some price point, let's suppose for the e-commerce website, let's suppose, depending on the complexity, you agree upon 200 US dollars with the client. So yes, you would be getting that project to work upon, and as soon as the project is complete, you get your money. So this is as simple as that. Now, in order to get started with freelancing, you can either have a contact of your you can either contact your local contacts so that they may give you some freelance work, or the best way of freelancing is through websites such as Fiverr.com, Upwork.com, People Per Hour, and yeah, there are plenty of websites which you can use in order to freelance for your various clients or businesses. Okay, so you can earn up to 200k US dollars if you are a very good freelancer and can handle projects very nicely. Okay, so the next way of earning money is reaching out to local businesses. It is one of the most simple and generic ways of earning money, where what you need to do is to advertise yourself or advertise your services at your local businesses, and if they would be in the need of some website or an app, then they would be basically paying you for your work. Okay, it is just similar to freelancing, the only difference being that you are in contact with the local businesses. Okay, you don't go on a global level, you just stay in your neighborhood. So the next and the most common ways of earning money through the software industry, or having knowledge of some software level industries, is let's suppose that if you have knowledge about Python, okay, then what you can do is basically you can tutor your knowledge of Python on through online courses or through live sessions. Okay, so um, you can have your videos recorded. Okay, you can have your lectures recorded and then post them on various websites such as Udemy, or you can post them on Udemy, you can post them on YouTube. Okay, so this would help you to reach your audience and then make money out of it, or you can give some private tutoring sessions to students, uh, either on a Zoom call, or you can also open up some institute as well. Okay, there are plenty of ways to earn through tutoring. Okay, the only thing you should remember about tutoring is that you need to impart knowledge from you to the learner. Okay, this is just a thing you should remember. The next way of earning money through knowledge in software industry is by starting your own business. Now you have the knowledge of how to develop your own website or mobile app, then why not put it to the use of starting your own business? Okay, so you can make your own product and can sell it to the customers, which would be just a generic business. Okay, so you can do this in order to earn some money. And the last way of earning money is through developing your own app or website and monetize it. Okay, so let's suppose that you are fond of creating some blogs, and yeah, that you want that yeah, I should be earning some money writing these blogs. Okay, so what you can do basically is that you can create your own website where you can post your daily blogs, and whenever someone visits your website, he reads the blog, but will also see some ads. And yeah, it is just similar to the YouTube videos which we watch, and we see some ads in the middle, and yeah, it is just similar to that. In the similar way, you can monetize your own app or websites by putting ads on it, and if a user clicks on it, you get some money in the return. Okay, so yes, it is as simple as that. So the only thing you should remember is that develop your own app or website, put some ads on it, and if the user clicks on those ads, you get some money. Okay, this is just the simple concepts of monetizing your own website or app. So these were some of the common ways of earning money while being in software industry. There are plenty other ways by which you can earn money. Okay, but these are the most common and the frequent methods of earning money. Okay, so thank you for attending the webinar. I wish you all the very best. I hope that the webinar was helpful for you, and this would have helped you to decide what you can do in order to make yourself better. I wish you all the very best again. If you have more queries regarding the subject of today's webinar, feel free to contact me at navyanshkesarwani@gmail.com. and yeah, I would be more than happy to reply you there. Once again, thank you for attending the webinar, and this is Navyansh Kesarwani signing off.